Welcome back to another blazing edition of Hot Topics, the podcast powered by the Suncoast Tampa Living Network, where we dig into the ideas, innovations, and real-life experiences shaping business, leadership, and the future of our industry. I'm your host, Quan Rimmer, and today we're talking about something every realtor knows they should be doing, but many struggle to do it consistently. Creating content that actually connects. Not just listings, not just sold posts, but content that builds trust, credibility, and real conversations long before someone is ready to buy or sell. Today, we're joined by two professionals who live at the intersection of storytelling, strategy, and real estate expertise. And we're recording live from Fabre Framework Studio. Fabre Frameworks, your one-stop shop for real estate photography that helps listings shine. Visit FabreFrameworks.com to elevate your next listing. Representing CMG Home Loans. This is what it looks like when mortgage expertise meets modern communication. A senior loan officer with extensive experience creating real estate and mortgage content with a focus on helping consumers and realtors understand the why behind the numbers. His content work spans podcasts, webinars, and short-form video. Built to simplify complex topics and deliver value that audiences can actually use. When you combine lending strategy with content strategy, you get something powerful. You get a professional who can help realtors strengthen their client conversations, improve their confidence at the kitchen table, and build credibility long before the offer is even written. Entering the heat with the ability to turn anything into a clear, scroll-stopping content that educates, builds trust, and keeps audiences coming back for more. Please welcome back to Hot Topics, Grant Lee of CMG Home Loans.
Thank you so much. Happy to be back.
Yes. Representing #cinema. When your audience scrolls past you, it's not because you do not have value. It's because your content did not earn attention. A content development professional and creator who helps real estate professionals transform everyday expertise into high-performing content that actually connects. Through #cinema, he supports realtors and businesses with storytelling that is built for the way people consume information today. Fast, visual, and trust-driven. He brings production discipline and a creator's mindset to every project, helping agents show up consistently with content that feels real, relevant, and worth watching. The goal is not to just post more. The goal is to build a brand people remember, stepping into the heat with a focus on content that drives conversation and not just views. Please welcome Adam Ekman of #cinema.
Thank you so much for having me, Quan.
Thank you. Do y'all approve of y'all introductions?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I need you. Like I said last time, I need to bring you everywhere with me to introduce me.
For real.
I definitely will. It would be an honor.
My hype man, personal
Yes.
hype man.
Well, let's jump right into it, gentlemen. Why do you think so many realtors still struggle with content, even though they know it's important?
Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a little bit uncomfortable. You got to step into a little bit of discomfort. I would say that not everyone's natural in front of the camera or knows how to position themselves in a way that delivers value. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. I think a lot of realtors could be a little bit maybe in the older generation, and they didn't get the benefit of growing up with so much technology and social media like we did. So I think there could be a little bit of barrier entry there. And it's just one of those things that you really got to put a lot of effort into for it to come out naturally.
Yeah, I think, too, the thing about being a realtor is you are out there in the community, and a lot of people are afraid of it, but you just have to be you. And a lot of people overthink what they need to make when they really just need to be showing what they're doing, as opposed to trying to come up with a crazy content strategy that is so over the top and hard. Like, you'll get there eventually once you start working on it. Just posting daily is the number one goal.
That's it.
What does content that connects actually mean in today's real estate market?
I think that content that connects is a lot more than just listing videos. I keep hearing listing videos, market videos, because that's the number one question realtors get asked, like, how's the market? And there's 1,000 ways to answer that, and that changes every month. But that doesn't really connect with a person. What really connects is who you are And that's where social media comes in, because you can build that trust right off the bat because you are showing them with video, especially who you are, what you do, and who you help out.
Very well said. Yeah, I think you want to do something that stops the scroll, because if you're doing something that's exactly the same as every realtor out there, it's very easy for that to get monotonous. And once you see that on your feed, you just kind of scroll past it. I feel like if you do stuff that's a little bit out of the ordinary, maybe stuff that other people aren't doing. And I think the biggest thing is just being authentic. Like you said, people want to see you for you, right? Of course, they know you're a realtor. Of course, they know you do listings. Of course, you know how the market is. But I think when people work with you, it's that old saying of they work with people they like, know, and trust. And that's what social media is really good at doing, establishing that rapport before you meet somebody face to face.
Good. So, what types of content actually build trust the fastest? With the audience, so that way they don't know you yet. Which way?
Yeah, I think stuff that's relatable, you know what I mean? I did a post the other day that performed really well. And I think the reason why it performed so well is that I did the opposite of what social media is intended to do. A lot of times people like to talk about their wins on social media as opposed to some of the losses or the struggles that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. I'm kind of guilty of doing it too. I have a lot of cool stuff that happens to me. I like to share it. I like to post like how many homes I'm closing on, how many closings I'm having, just to show people that like, yes, I know how to do my job and I'm going to get your loan done if you work with me. But what I realized the other day, I posted something relatable. I was vulnerable and I told people about a loss in my life. And I swear, I got like 4,000 views. It had like 100 comments, like 200 likes, and it was all organic compared to some of the generic stuff that I'm posting, which people kind of see and scroll past. It kind of puts things into perspective about the type of content that actually resonates and works with people.
One thing I see too, going off of that, is just making sure that you're doing video. It comes back to that. Like, a lot of people don't realize that when we're talking about these views, it is video, because
Mhm.
when you put a photo post out there, it stays within your network more. Whereas when you do a video, it actually connects to new people. So a lot of agents I've talked to are confused about that. So make sure you are doing video and not just photo posts for all this.
It's good. Where do realtors cross the line from being helpful to being salesy without even realizing it?
I think just pushing, pushing, and pushing. Like, if you're trying to say, hey, get me to list your house, and that's all you're talking about, this is why you should choose me, like, that's where it gets too pushy in the sale. Where you should be doing is educating the people, what makes you different, why are you going to be able to help them out, and it's especially having a niche. There's so many different avenues of real estate between the neighborhoods, commercial versus residential, and that's super important too, is making sure that you're not being too pushy, and if you just focus on your niche and those people specifically, you'll do really well on social media.
That's really good advice. I think never in life is it a good idea to be too pushy. I think in those instances where realtors are constantly asking you, like, hey, can I list your house? Hey, what do I need to do to earn your business? They can kind of like smell a desperation on you. And a lot of people getting started, maybe they don't have that many deals under their belt and they get a little bit too eager to get a closing out of somebody, as opposed to really slowing down, having a conversation, and figuring out what truly matters to your client. I think at that point, when you offer a little bit of empathy, listen to their situation, and lead from a place of value, I think that stops you from being too salesy, and it actually helps you in the long run for helping people and also helping yourself.
I like that. Let's transition and piggyback off that. How do the agents then shift their mindset from that promotion to value
hmm
without losing those business opportunities?
Yeah, I think we might be skipping ahead with my response, but I think establishing yourself as a subject matter expert and truly educating people allows you to do that. And on top of that, like I said, be relatable. You want to show some of your interest. I think a lot of people, if they see maybe you're rocking some type of sports gear for something that like is one of their favorite sports teams, or maybe you share one of your interests. Like for example, for me, music's a big thing for me. Like I like to DJ. I like to, play music, I sing, I have a band that I perform in. And if somebody likes that genre of music that I'm either playing with my band or I'm DJing, we already have that shared like interest and connection without even having that full like one-on-one interaction to begin with.
Yeah, I think that goes off of like going back to being personal. Like, number
hmm
one thing is like, if you're just you're not selling. If you're just sitting here trying to get the listings and doing all that, you're not providing any value. And it goes
hmm
back to everything we do in the association. It's providing value for our clients and whether you're on the affiliate side or the realtor side. So the more value you can provide for anybody out there, somebody out there is looking for your niche, and they're going to find that video and they're going to contact you. And that's really what's going to step it apart from other realtors.
That's it. Yeah. A person that I like to follow personally is Alex Hermosi.
Yes.
He's just a business mogul, really good social media. And one of the things that he says to people is give everything away for free. And if you just provide enough value to people, people are going to establish trust with you and they're going to want to work with you. And that's just going to take you so far in this line of work.
I like that. I like that. I gotta go look that up. So, as you guys both keep saying, video is basically king right now. So, what mistakes do realtors commonly make with their reels, their TikToks, or their shorts?
Oof, I guess I'll take this one. I think the number one thing is not doing it. Because, like, as silly as it sounds, like, the fear of getting on camera, I've seen it so many times that, like, somebody gets in front of the camera, you hit record, and, like, it goes quiet. Like, everything goes out of your head. And the thing is, I think the number one way to combat that is just know what you're talking about. Like, you already know what you're talking about when it comes to these houses and your neighborhoods and all the deals in real estate. So that's what you need to talk about. Like, you're going through an open house, you're touring a home. Think of the camera as a client. And I think that's the number one thing is just getting started, because if you do it for a year, you're going to look back at your first video and you're going to laugh. Don't delete it, though, because that's important. But it just takes time, and just getting over the hump, I think, is the number one mistake, is just not doing it because it's either too hard, you're too afraid, or something.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's really funny when there's people who are just professionals and really good at what they do, and they have no problem at talking to people, but as soon as the camera comes on, it's just crickets. I don't know what it's as if like everything they ever learned or did just goes completely out the window. And it's a really funny process. I think a lot of times what realtors end up doing that I think is a mistake when it comes to social media, I think I kind of mentioned it before, kind of doing the generic like videos that everyone else expects you to do, and because everyone does it, you just become kind of numb to it. It's not very entertaining or informational at that point. I think if you can just dig deep, find out what really resonates with your clientele and your niche and establishing yourself, I think that will take you much further. Another thing I realize is a lot of times realtors, whenever they make these videos, they tend to make it from a perspective of like, hey, you should listen to me, instead of what can the viewer get out of this video. I feel like it's a good idea to put yourself in the lens of the consumer, the person that's scrolling on the feed, and think to yourself, like, what would stop me from scrolling past this video if I was consuming this content?
I like that. So, is it better to be everywhere or to focus on one or two platforms consistently?
What do you think, Adam?
I like to say it's a long-term strategy. Like, pick your one platform that you like, you're going to know. Because a lot of these platforms like TikTok, it's hard to keep up with. So start with one platform and then go from there. And then once you get that audience, you can transfer them to other platforms. Or the other strategy is, if you're going for more long-form content, start with YouTube. And you can clip up all your cuts to go into Instagram. But if you're just starting with individual short-form posts, like, choose your platform that makes the most sense to you, that you know how to use, that's not going to be confusing or way out there for you.
That's really good advice. I like that. I think with the way that social media is going, I think short-term videos are probably the best way to consume content and get it out there. I think we kind of noticed that whenever TikTok came out, every other social media platform kind of adopted that same strategy. Shortly afterwards, Instagram put up Reels. I think Shorts came up on YouTube, and they all kind of started doing the same thing. And for that reason, I actually am of the mindset that I just like blasting out my content on every single platform. Like, I have 5 of them, like the big 5, right? So there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's YouTube, and LinkedIn. I like to blast out my content on all 5 platforms, and the reason being is different videos perform differently on different platforms, where something might have not popped up on TikTok, it might be going crazy on YouTube, and then maybe if it didn't do well on YouTube, it could be doing really well on Instagram. And I actually have like a platform that I use. It's called Opus Clip. This is some free game for everybody. Opus Clip is spectacular. If you've used it, it's leveraging AI to make the video editing process that much easier. So what I like to do is, me and my buddy, or maybe I have like a guest come on the show, or maybe like a realtor or something, we'll have a conversation anywhere from like 10 minutes to sometimes even an hour if it's good enough. And the platform It cuts up all the videos. It gives you like 30 to 60 short form clips with captions, with edits. And then at that point, you can actually schedule it out on all 5 of your social media platforms. And it makes custom captions tailored per each specific social media platform, because the way you write a caption for YouTube, for Instagram, for TikTok, it's all different. They look for different things, and the AI recognizes that, makes the captions, and then you can schedule it out to go every 2 hours, maybe every 12 hours, maybe 24 hours. And it's such an easy way to get your content out there that's pretty much fully automated, and you just kind of like log in and you see your views and you figure out who's talking smack about you, and then you roast them a little bit in the comments, and it's a really fun process putting yourself out there like that.
I love that. I love that. What's the name of that?
So
Name it again?
the platform is called Opus Clip. It's spelled Opus. Opus. Yeah.
Does that let you post directly?
Yeah, that's how I post.
Okay.
Yeah, it posts on 5 platforms for me. And it's
That's
like you
perfect.
click one button and it's like, all right, let me schedule these 40 videos out for you. And you just click post and the interval you want to go out and you're done. That's it.
That's awesome.
Game on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope everyone uses it after this, because with that, you should have no reason not to be posting content out there just because of how easy it is.
That's true. How can the realtors tell their stories without either oversharing or feeling uncomfortable on camera?
I think just honest stories. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I don't think oversharing, as long as you're not like giving away social security numbers and specific names, like
Exactly.
you can just say John Doe, Obviously you don't want to be talking bad about your customers or clients online, but the thing is, in this industry, there's so many moving parts, something can go wrong. And I've heard a lot of crazy stories on situations and one-offs. And I think those are the stories that make the best content, because those are just knowledge bombs that realtors are dropping. I heard one the other day that was saying, hey, make sure you get your state law. Like if you move, get it done in a different state, because like if you die, something can go wrong, because they had a client that the day after closing, they died, and the money went like to the ex-wife and stuff, and like not the new wife, and that was their tip, because they were like, in 40 years of doing this is a crazy story. And I was like, that's a perfect piece of content right there.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I think stories is like the most relatable thing. Going back to the beginning of time, stories have always been there. I feel like stories is how you connect with people, and you can bring your point across that much better if you have a good story. Classic example, I'm a avid book reader. I really like the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Good one.
And the reason why that book just does so well is because he tells it as if like he grew up like that. Now, if he actually did grow up with those 2 dads and all those stories were true, we'll never know. But the lessons instilled from that story still stick with me to this day because how well it was narrated.
Yeah.
What makes content feel authentic instead of scripted or forced?
Yeah, I think whenever you see videos that are like top of the line, super edited, they got the drone footage and the crazy transitions, it makes it like almost unauthentic and not that easy to relate to. So I think in this generation of social media, people want to see raw and authentic. If you just want to take a video of yourself talking on your phone, you got some good lighting and you're talking in your car about something that happened, I think that could, in some cases, perform better than a fully polished video that you spent thousands of dollars producing, just because people can relate to it a little bit more.
Yeah, he's not wrong. It's kind of crazy to see like the difference of high-end production value to just doing it. I think just making sure you have a mic.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing, is good audio. And if you're able to get a lapel mic, you can get them online for $30-$50. And just going out there and shooting and being okay with the quality and being okay with the ums and the ers, and like it's real. Like we all make mistakes, so
that's true.
Roll with it. And then also learning how to cut them out too isn't that hard with CapCut.
So easy.
And some of these editing programs, you just do a jump in and you can take out all the mistakes you made. And even if it took you an hour to make a 10-second video, nobody will know.
Yeah, I think DIY is very important. You can't just make a completely terrible video and expect it to do well. Like the bare essentials are like, you need to sound like you know what you're doing. After that, you need to have somewhat good lighting. And then after that, good audio. If you have those 3, that's the barrier of entry to start making videos. You really don't need much more than that. And I think a lot of times people are waiting for this perfect opportunity or perfect setup or like all this perfect equipment for them to like make these videos. But in my opinion, I think perfect is the opposite of done. And kind of like how you mentioned, just start putting that content out there. It's going to suck at first. It's going to be terrible. People on the internet are going to be mean to you about it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to get improvement is if you just stick with it. And, after a while, it just kind of starts working out, once you get enough experience doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, if you don't have any haters, you're not doing it right then.
That's
I
right.
agree.
Haters is good publicity.
Yes.
Yeah, according to 50 Cent.
Yes. How can agents use the community, lifestyle, or behind the scenes content to build stronger connections?
I think just going through that gives you so many doors of content, like the
Mhm.
community, the neighborhoods. That's where I tell everybody, I talk to these realtors and they're like, oh, I sell everywhere. And I'm like, that's okay. Every month, pick one area that you specialize in. Maybe you sell more houses and maybe you want to get in that area and just go make content in that area. You can show some of the neighborhoods, the school districts, show the restaurants, what it's
Yeah.
like to live there.
Mhm.
And if you just spend half a day there going around and filming some stuff and editing, you can have a whole month's worth of content for that specific area, for that specific niche you're targeting. For example, if you want to sell Treasure Island beach houses and that's where you're getting a lot of your business, focus on that for the month. Maybe spend a day there and go to a different area the next month. Maybe even come back if you need to make more stuff, because that's the number one way to make content is show the community, show what there is to do.
That's true. And because we live in Florida, I think a lot of people want to move here. Anyone that's relocating, Florida is one of their top destinations. So if you can show them a community, like you said, the restaurants, the area, I think that'll resonate with people, and then you can establish yourself as a relocation expert. Me personally, if I ever hear of anyone moving here from, out of town, I have like a relocation packet I like to send with them. And typically at closing, I'll provide this and they'll know what restaurants to go to, what bars to check out, if they're family oriented, what type of family activities they have. That way they can kind of get to know the area, and I kind of look like a personal guide to them whenever I'm done working with them.
Like that.
Great, yeah.
Consistency is the biggest challenge, I guess, after actually jumping in and getting started.
Mm-hmm.
What systems help realtors stay consistent without content taking over their week? I know that one product you just told us. Say it again.
Yes, that product is Opus Clip.
Listen, I'm going to make sure I get you a sponsorship by the end of this.
Yeah.
Like, you go get one. But what other tools?
I think like scheduling apps are really good. Anything like there's a website called like Buffer, or like I think there's another one called like later.com. And what happens is you can batch schedule your content to go out on your behalf, because making a post on 5 different platforms, that's time consuming. That could take up to like 30 minutes to an hour just to get one video out on all those different platforms. And if you find yourself doing that, it's very counterproductive. So what I recommend people to do is to batch film, batch edit, and batch schedule. And by doing so, you can do that all in one day, and then you got content for the whole entire month going out. Because the easier you can make it and the more automated you can make it, the less barrier of entry you have, and the easier it actually makes it for you to do. So in my personal instance, like I know how to video edit, I know how to schedule apps, but because that was the thing that was holding me up, I would film the videos and then I would kind of let them like sit in this like box of like videos that never got posted. When I started using Opus Clip, it would automate and do that for me automatically. So once that barrier of entry was gone, it just made the process so much more enjoyable and fun for me. And I think if you can make it enjoyable and fun and easy to do, that'll keep you consistent very easily.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is number one, setting a day, either whether it's monthly, weekly. So whether you're not busy on Wednesday afternoons, that's going to be the time you're going to go shoot and edit. So setting up a system is number one, and then tools specifically. A lot of realtors are using Canva already to make posts. There's already posting tools in there. Obviously, you can design a post, edit video in there, and post to all the sites, but also CapCut is a huge tool. That's pretty much what everybody's using to edit these social media videos. It's got all the good transitions. It's got filters for makeup. It's got everything you need in there, and you can post directly from most of the platforms too. So
That's true.
And schedule as well. So that's like he said, batch recording, batch everything. But also just not being afraid to do stories. Like you don't have to do everything that is so polished to make a reel. Like if you sit here and you're at a gala, don't be afraid to go post 3 or 4 stories. And then you can even save those stories. Obviously, don't delete anything, because you can use all that clippings for your other videos. If you even want to do like next day, like recap, that's easy. Then you have 3 story videos put together with the recap. Now you have a piece of content you can put either as a permanent story on Instagram, as a reel, and just reusing all the stuff that you already have, and just coming up with a system, coming up with a plan, and making sure you stick to it.
I think the most important thing to remember is that this is a lot of work, and it's a lot of hard work. And if you don't want to do it or you're too busy and you got too much stuff going on, you just hit up Adam because he'll do that for you. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say it's a lot of work to do this the right way and come up with the script and post it. If you have a professional helping you with you, and if that helps you make more money, do something else, you're just better off talking to Adam and just make it completely hands off.
Perfect. We'll be right back with more from our guests as we keep the conversation burning on hot topics live from the Fabre Frameworks studio. Fabre Frameworks, your go-to team for professional real estate photography that helps listings stand out, attract attention, and move faster. Learn more at FabreFrameworks.com. All right, it's time to turn up the heat. Welcome to the hot seat. Each of you have 2 minutes to speak directly to our realtors listening right now. Tell them how your approach helps professionals create content that connects, builds trust, and supports their long-term growth. Grant, you are in the hot seat.
Yeah. So the way that I like to operate my business is I operate from a true fiduciary approach, whereas I take your financial wants, needs, and goals and I turn them into reality. My clientele ranges from first-time home buyers all the way to investors and everything in between. And with the size of the company that I'm at, if the loan's not closing here, I don't know where it's going to be closing. If you guys want to find me, you can find me on social media at Grant Lee Team. My phone number is 813-618-9095, or you can shoot me an email at grantl@cmghomeloans.com.
Perfect.
The heat and spotlight is now yours.
All right. Hi, my name is Adam Ekblad with #Cinema. I like to take big production value and bring it down to realtors to basically help them stand out online, to get more listings, find new buyers. And I actually have a class coming up. It's going to be a 3-part series with the association at the Tampa location on April 15th, 22nd, and 29th from 10 to 11:30. And it's actually a 3-part series because we're breaking down everything for social media. Step 1 is going to be actually understanding what we're doing with social media and making sure you understand the difference between reels and stories. Part 2 is going to be actually filming techniques, and we are gonna shoot on your phones. We're gonna be bringing lights and mics, so if you don't have that, you can get great content. And then the last class is going to be for CapCut specifically, so you can know how to edit all these things and post all these. So if you have any questions about social media or want to talk video at all, I love to talk video. Call me on my cell, 727-247-6168, or follow me on Instagram at adam.ekblad. That's EKBLAD.
Perfect. Gentlemen did great. Let's jump back into these questions. How much content can realistically be captured in one filming session if done correctly?
Oof. That's too hard to answer. I would say try to go in smaller bites because I've done shoots for Amazon where you're there all day and it's a 12-hour day standard in the production industry. So you can shoot for 12 plus hours, but you're going to get tired. You're going to run out of things to say. And the one thing I like to say is doing it monthly is so you can review. See what you said, see where you messed up. Did you say something wrong? Like, do you get more ideas from watching content now that you're making it? But I would like to say about an hour is about the most. 2 hours. So you can take a break, do some costume changes. And it also depends on like how much production value are you doing? Are you running around to 3 locations to show 3 different things? And that's going to be a 6-hour day, by the time you go from one house to the other. So I would say about an hour where you're actually sitting down filming. And then you'll probably knock it out in 30 after your first couple runs, so you'll get better from there.
Yep. I think the sky's the limit. There's different levels to it. Some people are more efficient than others. If you're at the very beginning of the process, just start anywhere. Just focus on like one-offs. You know what I mean? I think once you get more experience and you find different tools to leverage, you can create a lot of content. For the 3rd time, we're mentioning Opus Clip.
You go get that sponsorship.
It makes it so easy to film content.
Use
like
code Grant20 for 20% off today.
It's coming.
No, but I really want to bring it up because I think it'll really help a lot of people because it helped me become more consistent with it. Me and my buddy, we film for like an hour and then we take that video, we chop it up into pieces, and within an hour we have 30 videos that can go out over the next couple of weeks, however much you want. I was also listening to Alex Ramosi, plugging him for the 2nd time too, but he was talking about the type of response that people get based on the type of content that they produce. I think that they were at some type of award show. Interesting little story. The people that were actors, musicians, they got a pretty decent applause. Then after that, they started having content creators come out that did short form content. So, shorts, 30, 60, 90 seconds on the different platforms. They got a pretty decent response. The people that got an even better response after that were people that made long form content. Think about like talk shows, radio shows, YouTube. And the people that got the biggest response out of anybody were people that went live, right?
Yeah.
So the people went crazy. And I think what I want to leverage this year, we just set up the podcast studio in our office. Something that I want to try is, what if we did a live broadcast of whatever conversation we had? Following that broadcast, we then posted that same video as a long form content on all the big platforms, and then breaking it down even more. What if I used Opus Clip to break that up into short little pieces and send it out? Then at that point, you're kind of covering all your bases. You're doing your live content, which is highly engaging. I think a lot of the platforms like TikTok Live and YouTube Live really, really push that to the algorithm harder than anything else. Following that, you then have long form content that people are most likely to consume. And then you have short forms, which takes them over to the long content. And that is just like the trifecta. Like, you're establishing so much trust and rapport. And if people are watching your podcast for like an hour at a time, like, imagine how well they've gotten to know you within that hour. And if you just do that on a regular basis, I think it's just really easy to scale whatever you're doing and just go big with it.
No, I totally agree with that. That's pretty much what we try to do. It's use as much of the content as you can, because if you're just making the reels up, you're going to be losing out on the content. It's good to start, but start like that long form stuff on YouTube is where you can break it down from and then do the reels from.
Yeah.
Like he said.
You're doing a lot. You're leveraging your time really wisely at that point.
I like that. I'm an alley-oop so you can get this sponsorship. Don't worry. All right. What does a repeatable content system actually look like for a busy agent?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like hiring someone, if you're very busy, is probably your best course of action. But if you're just very disciplined with it, finding out those different AI tools that you can leverage, that way you can do everything in batches as opposed to breaking it up throughout the week, I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. And kind of like I said, setting a day, putting it in your calendar. And then when you start, you can kind of do the shotgun approach where you're trying to hit everything with the videos. And what I like to do is see what's working out of those videos. So now if you're doing 10 different video types between listings, neighborhoods, market updates, whatever's working the best, take that and amplify it. And that'll help actually pare down your system, get you some of your time back, because you're able to just make the videos that are working. Because when you first start, you don't know what's going to work until you start getting the data.
Why does the educational content perform so well in real estate?
Number one, it's evergreen, I think. For the most part, unless you're doing content that changes with the market, it's evergreen. So if somebody finds this video in 3 years about this neighborhood in St. Pete, it's still going to be valid content. So it works there, and people like to learn. They want to know things. Curiosity is what killed the cat. So like, you got to sit here and give the information for people to get it.
I think from my particular industry, mortgages are just so complex, and there's so much different rules and guidelines and regulation to it that the average person really doesn't know what their financing is going to look like. So if you can educate people, maybe teach them about the home buying process, about how to get qualified, what to look out for, and make that consumable for the person that's viewing the content, I think that really helps them. And a lot of times nowadays, people, before they even have a conversation with you, they'll probably stalk you on the internet. They'll probably Google you, see what your reviews are, see how you are on camera. And if they can find you, that's really good. If they can't find you, they start having a little bit of doubts, and they might look for the next person, because I think if you have a reputable brand, sometimes that trumps your expertise in your particular field. Like, you might be the best loan officer or best realtor of all time, but if you're not established on social media and people don't see that, how are they going to find you? And then somebody that could be just great on social media and not necessarily the best at what they do could be the person that lands the client just because they're that much more visible online.
No, that's so true. And just piggybacking off of what you're saying, it just gives you instant credibility. Like,
That's it.
I'm sure a lot of the things you guys are selling are the similar products. Obviously, you run obviously you run under the same regulations.
Yep.
So basically, by explaining those and just saying, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, and it's not just somebody a realtor recommended or you found on Google, it goes a long way. Because I think it's kind of crazy, like you said, it's not always the best person that gets the job on social media. It's who's got the most exposure and seems like they know what they're doing the best.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yes. How can our realtors and business partners, like lenders, photographers, how can they collaborate on content that benefits both audiences without sounding so promotional?
Yeah, I mean, you're just combining best of both worlds. Whenever you have a conversation with somebody and they do a different job than you, they're a subject matter expert of that particular field, whereas you're the subject matter expert of your particular industry. And I think during that conversation, a lot of nuggets come out between information that you're sharing that the other person necessarily wouldn't have thought of, or maybe they're not in that same train of thought as you are. So I feel like by leveraging other professionals and bringing them into your sphere, not only can you benefit from sharing information, but if you guys post it across both your platforms as collaborators or maybe tagging each other, then you're tapping into their audience and their audience is tapping into yours and you have more exposure. And then the more exposure you have and the more engagement you have, the better it does on the algorithm. And then it gets pushed out to people that aren't in either of your spheres.
Yeah, I think going off of that too is a lot of the people we're working with that are our affiliates in the organization, we all kind of connect together as a puzzle piece in one way or another. Like we're in real estate. So there's always ways that like, you can use some people's tools. Like as a loan originator, like you might be doing commercial, residential and doing all these things and working with these people and saying like, hey, I work with this person to help you get a deal with this, and we work together because it's like peanut butter and jelly, and that's what your content can be about, and it's more about how you're able to help than specific product pushing.
Right, exactly.
How can newer agents compete with these already established brands using content?
I think everyone has something unique about themselves, whether it's their interests, their hobbies, or their life experiences, where just because someone has more following than you or they've been doing it longer than you doesn't mean you can't still find your niche or gain your market share with what you do. I think people are so complex and there's so much about us more than meets the eye. And I think once people start realizing that and you start sharing some of that stuff with your audience, the people that resonate with you as a person, they'll find their tribe, right? And then from there, you can just expand. And in life, there's always going to be people that are doing better than you at X, Y, and Z, social media, your career, how much homes you're selling. And I think you comparing yourself to those people just robs you of your happiness.
Agreed.
I think it honestly gives you a competitive advantage because a lot of these people that are already established, even not on social media, are using networks that they built up over years and years and years, where you can come in and target specific things with social media, and that can be the edge that actually gives you the defining advantage. If you're thinking that, oh, I don't have any listings to make videos with, you don't need listings.
Nope.
You got neighborhoods, you got stories, and obviously sometimes you won't have stories, but because you're just starting, but showing what you know and showing what you can know, like about the neighborhoods. Get specific, show people around. People just love to see what are 10 things you can do in that neighborhood if you want to specialize. What are 10 things you can do online to get more listings, stuff like that. And also using ChatGPT and all these new tools that are always coming out that, us younger people can have the advantage, even though we might not have the network. We can use the tools to kind of build that on social media, give you good ideas, get trends, and educate people while you're educating yourself as well.
Yeah, the AI wave is crazy. Like, whether you like it or not, it's here.
Yeah.
And you better get used to using it, because if not, you're going to get left behind. And another thing on that question I want to just bring up is, like, you can start from scratch and really build a name for yourself. I'll give you a perfect example. There was a young realtor I met at the very beginning of their career. They just got their license. They started doing social media videos, which I thought were hilarious, but at the time they weren't really like catching traction because she just started. So you guys probably seen her. Her name is Tampa Bree, right?
Yeah.
On social media.
I'm waiting. I'm still waiting.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Yeah, we'll make it happen. But when I first met her, she maybe had like 200 followers. And then fast forward to today, I think it's been like a year, she's at 500,000 on like each platform. You know what I mean? And she just started like a year ago. Like, what disadvantage or what do you have that's stopping you from achieving the same things? Of course, it's not everyone that just like pops off on social media. She had a very niche method that she went about with her videos. She was doing something highly unconventional. She was like going to these listings, and instead of talking about the property, she was just roasting the homeowner and the property to make like jokes and do stand-up comedy. And that really resonated with people. And now because of that, she has a great social media presence. She has clients coming in that love her before she even works with them, and she's getting closings off of it, doing something that a lot of people aren't doing.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. How should realtors measure whether their content is actually working?
I think that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Yeah, because KPIs, I think with social media, you can be making all the videos in the world and maybe you're not getting like leads, but you still have a lot of engagement, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like measuring engagement, like that's great and stuff. People are watching your videos and you're getting the likes, you're getting the dopamine rush. But if it's not being converted to clients asking to work with you, what's the point of doing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
at that point, I feel like you got to measure how many closings you're getting, where they're coming from, and get really good about tracking your KPIs to see if what you're doing is actually generating business for you or not.
yeah, I think the other thing too is it's kind of like the networking we already do. If
Hmm.
you show up once, you're not going to see anything. It's about building these relationships over time and
Yes.
seeing different ways you can post. Like, for example, you could get 10,000 views on a video and you're going to love the views. And we all love seeing that we have 50,000 views on our thing. But if you're not getting any business out of that, then that's not helping you at all.
Right.
But making sure you can always ask where you got the referral. Oh, I saw your Instagram video. I saw your TikTok. And then one thing you can do specifically to get more direct conversions is make very, very, very niche specific videos.
Hmm.
For one client that they were doing 1031 exchanges, they had a whole channel talking about 1031 exchanges, and they would get views about it because they would just be giving educational contents about it. But we did one where it was a very specific, like looking for 1031 exchanges for the specific problem, and it only got 500 views, but it got 20 leads from just that video.
Wow.
Because now
Right.
anytime somebody specific is looking for that on YouTube to learn about, he's the only one that's doing it. So
Yep.
that's a number one way you can get conversions. And I think going from doing it, it's all part of a strategy. You know, you get the people in from the top rated views, all the ones that they want to see, and then you start answering the questions on some of the more in-depth videos that will be getting you lead gens because you're giving specific knowledge about something that might not be easily found on Google or answered with ChatGPT.
That's right. Yeah, and as much as we all like it, you can't pay your bills with likes and followers as
No.
much as we wish we could sometimes.
Right. So
You need a
true.
lot of them.
So true.
Yeah.
Continuing the discussion regarding the lead generation, what signals tell you content is building trust even before it starts generating leads?
I think when people walk up to you at events or in public and they
Yeah.
say like, "Hey, I really like this," or like, "Hey, I thought this about this," or like, "Hey, that happened to me too." I think that kind of says a lot. Whenever people start coming up to you and bringing it up without you mentioning it to them, I think that's kind of like a good indication that what you're doing is resonating with people.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest ones to kind of explain
Hmm.
because there is no like, unless you're going to sit there on your phone and be like, make a counter of everybody that's come up to talk to you and be like, hey, I saw you on social media. Like, you're not going to get that, but it just opens doors for you too because you have so much credibility. So you need to take that content and not just post by yourself. Use the ability that you're doing all this content posting to open some doors to go post content with other people so that you can expand your network. It's not just a direct lead generation tool. It's kind of putting you out there, building trust before somebody even calls you, and showing everybody what you do, what you're about, and how you operate.
I think it's also a way of like multiplying your efforts because having
Yes.
conversations with one-on-one with clients, that's great. That's what like moves the needle and what moves the pipeline. But social media, it's not a one-to-one approach, it's the one-to-many,
Yeah.
right? And people are essentially getting to know you, kind of having a conversation with you without you being present there. It's just a great way to establish yourself and just to really make sure that the most amount of people are seeing what you do and essentially leading into the funnel of them talking to you and getting a conversion by working with you because they trust you.
Yeah, I think it comes back just like the networking we do. We're not trying to sell directly to the people we're networking to.
Hmm.
We're trying to make them our salespeople. And
That's
each
right.
video could be a salesperson for you online that's never sleeping, working 24/7 for you.
Yeah. And people love to scroll, right? So if you
Yeah.
got some good content, them scrolling, that's just more power to you right there.
And you
Yes.
bypassed everything too when you think about that. People are on their phones all the time, their guards down. It's not like getting a mailer in the mail that you're going to throw out. You're directly have their attention and their volume's up as well.
Yeah, they're not going
when
to throw
you're
their phone
watching
away
those. Exactly.
after
You're not
looking
gonna
at
throw
it.
your phone away.
Listen, we are in an instant gratification world today. So,
Yeah.
how long should agents expect to stay consistent before seeing real exhaust?
Well, that's a fun one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media algorithm's crazy. You know what I mean? You might have to stick with it forever until you find your mojo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I feel like if you just keep trying and testing out, like you said, different content ideas or methods, and then you kind of double down on the ones that are performing well, that are getting a lot of engagement, comments, views, that's really the algorithms and the KPIs you got to watch. On your professional dashboard, if you see that certain videos are getting more views, more engagement, more clicks, more shares, make more of that content. Why
Yeah.
not, right? And then if you really want to double down, you can even boost your post. And then not only is it going out to your audience, it's going to the Explore feed, and then it's getting pushed out to more viewers. So
Yeah, I think that's also such an open-ended question because definition of success is so broad. If you're trying to get, what's your goal? Are you trying to get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube? Are you trying to get 5 lead closings? Like, for example, if I post something online, like a video I did for one of my clients, another client reaches out and is like, oh, that popped into my brain, and reaches out from somebody I already knew. And even though it's the lead that I already had and I worked with them in the past, by them seeing my post on just the first post I posted back in a while, it got like it could be anywhere from
Top of
one
mind.
post. Yeah, and I have friends that are doing YouTube channels that take 5 years to get 100,000 subscribers. I mean, it really all depends on what your goals are, and I would say kind of just start basic and figure out what your goals are. Because if you're just going off the views, then like just go on TikTok and post some videos. Because the way their algorithm works is within the first so many posts, they give you a few that are viral to see if people like your content. So that's a quick way to get easy views on your TikTok. But if you're not using it right, they're not converting. And that's the other number one thing is always put a call to action at the end of every video. If you want to get in touch with me, DM. If you want more of this great content, like, follow, subscribe. The ask goes a long way and will help you shorten that timeline on how long it takes to get all the views and the results you're looking for with social media.
I like
And I like what you said. You said just start. That's the most important thing. Because in the grand scheme of things, there's 10% of people that are never going to do it. Then there's 10% of people that are doing it actively and reaping the benefits. And the overwhelming majority is 80% of people who are saying not yet. They're waiting for that perfect moment or until they get ready or until they get the specific piece of equipment. But I think those people in that not yet category, they may as well be in like the never category because they've probably been kicking the can down the road for too much time.
Yes. If a realtor listening today takes just one action this week to improve their content, what should it be?
I think what he said, just get started. You know what I mean? Like I said, perfect is the opposite of done. And the sooner you start doing something, the better it's going to turn out once you get the hang of it.
And if you already are started, for everybody that's droning on and being like, give me more, for people who are already doing this, I would say what's one thing you can do if you don't have a microphone, get a microphone. If you don't have a content plan, create a content plan. Like, plan this out and make it like a whole production. Maybe get yourself a light. I know this is more than one thing here, but go out and make a schedule for yourself. Put it in your calendar so it repeats every Wednesday at 2 p.m. if that's when nothing's happening for you. And just kind of buy the little things that are essential and just start with it and making more. Like any event you have, try CapCut if you haven't tried that. It just really depends where you're at in your journey, but just trying out more between mics, lights, and cutting, and just starting if you haven't.
Yeah. I'll add on to that too. If you've already started, and like you said, you've already been getting the hang of it, I think a really good method is stealing from people. Now,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily support stealing, like the act of
I call
stealing.
it borrowing.
But yeah, there's a really old saying. It's good artists copy, great artists steal. If you find other content types that other people are doing, there is a plethora, a Grand Canyon of content out there of noise, right? And if there's videos that stick out to you that you really enjoy or that other people are enjoying and you see that they're working, why not just steal that method? Steal the way that their camera's positioned, steal the captions that they're doing, put the hooks in there. Like, study it as if you're like studying for your like SATs. Study the video and figure out what works for you and why you're engaged with that content, and literally just recreate that. I can't tell you how many content creators out there are doing that same exact thing where they see someone that's ahead of them and making content that they like and they just swagger jack the whole entire thing, and then no one even knows because it's your own rendition of it.
And even going off of that, half of the social media posts are just trends.
Yeah.
So it's the same video, just in a different scenario with different people. And those last for a week or two. So that's another easy way to start making more content. Is just, if you see a trend on social media of some realtor or commercial business doing something, do it for your business.
Yeah, in the same breath of stealing, I mean, that Hot Topics logo. I can't put my finger on it, but it looks very, very familiar. And I don't know if I've seen it before, but
Like
could
you
be one of
said,
those things.
duplicate, repeat, duplicate, repeat. We won't mention any names, you know.
Imitation's the biggest form of a compliment,
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly,
That's it. That's it.
exactly.
unless you're
Listen,
in the copyright office.
exactly. That's why we won't say any names. But hey, a big thank you to Adam and Grant for bringing practical insight and real world strategy to today's conversation. To our realtors listening, remember this: content that connects is not about perfection, it's about consistency, clarity, and showing up as a trusted resource long before the transaction. Download, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss the heat. More expert guests, real talk, and game changing insights are coming your way on Hot Topics Live from the Fabre Framework Studio. Fabre Frameworks, specializing in professional real estate photography that helps listings stand out, attract buyers, and make a powerful first impression. Learn more at FabreFrameworks.com, the official studio home of Suncoast Tampa Living Podcast Network. This is your host signing off. And until next time, keep pushing boundaries, delivering value, stay protected, and standing out like the star you are.